This week we compare Power Rangers 1995 and 2017. I'm Chad.
And I'm Matt.
And this is the 25th episode of our podcast. We used to talk about this every week. So we are back, Matt. And I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm tired. I'm very tired. I'm tired of watching more than one movie in a week. I'm not saying either of these movies are bad. I'm just saying I'm tired of all this homework that we have.
Yeah, it's very time consuming. It's not as once you start watching these movies and you think that they're better, and then you start watching and you be like, nah, it's not that good. And then now, since we're doing it for the podcast, which is work, is we have to take notes and everything, which kind of like makes it worse.
Yeah. So it's my pledge. Until the end of this year, at the very least, we will only review one movie. This is my pledge.
And also, we might have to scale back on watching older movies too.
Yeah. But we'll get into that. So this week we welcome one of my best friends. Nelson was on the show a few weeks ago, and I would like to introduce everyone to another one of my best friends, Joe. Hello.
Hello, sir. How you doing? Matt, how you doing?
Good. Welcome to the show.
Yo.
So I've known Joe just about as long as I've known Nelson. So over 20 years, we went to middle school together. A lot of good times, a lot of highs, a lot of lows. We could tell you guys some stories, but maybe not today.
I got stories. I got a whole lot of them.
Oh, I know. So Joe, why don't you tell the good people a little bit about yourself? Not necessarily your relationship to me, but just something, a little bit about yourself.
I'm also part of a podcast called the TV Blerds, the podcast. I like random and weird shit, video games. Big guy with a lot of tattoos, so I scare the average person, but deep down, teddy bear at heart.
So welcome to the show, man. And also, in regards to the podcast you're on, when are you guys actually going to release episodes again?
We are actually, we just got off the phone, like right before I got on the phone with you, and we just came up with some new campaigns and stuff. So we're going to be back online real soon.
I like how vague that is. All right.
I know, right?
So why don't you tell me, Joe, what's been going on with you? What you want to talk about?
Not much. Been gaming way too much. Playing the new Portal, Splitgate.
All right.
It's like Halo and Portal put together.
Okay.
Just to make it quick, but free game, really good. Been playing a lot of that, and just waiting for something new to play.
Okay. You? Pre-show, you were telling me about something called Back 4 Blood.
Back 4 Blood, yeah, the new Left 4 Dead. You got like zombies at its finest.
Okay, what system is it going to be on? What's up?
Everything. I think everything but the Switch, probably.
All right.
Not trying to be funny, but true story.
Stop hating on Switch gamers, all right?
I got two of them in my house.
People that only own Switch.
Y'all fault.
So you've been watching anything?
Why the Last Man on Hulu and Murder in the Building.
Only Murderers in the Building.
I've never heard neither one. Give me a little synopsis of those.
So Why the Last Man is a comic book series from I think like the early 2000s probably, about basically every man or anything with a Y chromosome basically dies off instantly. Mm-hmm. And governments come crashing down. It went all the way down to like Secretary of Treasury or something as far as the succession line. And for some reason, this one guy and his pet monkey survived. And so he is traveling the world, covered face mask and got his cape and tarp on, trying to not be seen as a man because he's going to get raped and murdered.
And not necessarily in that order.
Right.
Why the Last Man?
No, I said, what is this on?
Oh,
Hulu.
Sorry.
Hulu? Okay.
Yeah.
So I genuinely thought we talked about this, but last year I actually sat down and read the entire series like in a week.
Good stuff, right?
Yes and no. So
What?
I feel like I would have enjoyed it. 2000, 2010 Chad would have enjoyed it more than 2020 Chad, if that makes sense.
I can get that.
So it's like there's some things that it's like, hey, me being at this point in my life, that's not at, I don't actually want to read this kind of stuff, or we can't make jokes about this anymore. And like that's kind of seeped into my whole subconscious, you know.
I got you.
But overall, it is a good book. I will admit I don't really like the explanation on why all the men died. But
You gotta leave something for the people that actually watch the show.
no, I'm not gonna say what it is. Like that's something you and me can talk about because I don't want to spoil it for Matt. But I didn't really care for that. But overall, it is a good shit. It is a good series. And Only Murderers in the Building. Is that done yet? Because when it's done, I'm gonna watch it.
I think it's like done like a week or two.
Okay. What's that about?
Well, you know, kind of like how the title goes. It's a murder in the building, and these three friends, well, not even friends, these three people within the building, as the building's getting evacuated, kind of become friends over a podcast, a murder mystery podcast that they were all listening to.
Do we need to have a spinoff podcast like Black Only Murderers in the Building?
We move out of those houses after people murdered in the building. But it's basically so, like I said, like they become friends over a podcast and decide to start their own podcast about the murder within their own building. And you know, you got Steve Martin and Martin Short, so like that's a plus within itself right there. It's really good. Good stuff.
And Selena Gomez.
Yeah, Selena Gomez as well. Yeah, she's more of the star of the show than anything else. But you know, I just for the people who are familiar with those two actors, everybody knows Selena Gomez at this point in life. But not everybody knows. I found out, you know, a lot of these younger guys don't know who Martin Short or Steve Martin are and what they, you know, brought to the comedy game as a whole.
Now I'm about to get our podcast like just slammed with negative mail, but you know those Gen Z, you know.
Yeah, definitely.
That's also on Hulu, Matt.
All right.
So, Matt, what is this week's recommendation?
Well, I know you guys probably seen memes and everything already about it, but Squid Game on Netflix. Have y'all seen it?
Started.
I have not seen it.
Okay, well, it's in Korean. You can go with English dubbed, or
don't do that. Don't ever watch a Netflix dub.
Well, yes, don't watch anything dubbed. Just go with the original language and just use subtitles. I know y'all can read.
I don't disagree that, you know, you'll get a more fulfilling experience if you watch a sub of something, but specifically Netflix, they don't give a fuck about their dubs.
Okay, now that you bring that up, so I was gonna say this later on, I'll say it now. So apparently their subbed Netflix is not good. So you had Korean native speakers where they were looking at the sub, and it's I don't want to say this. It's giving a version of what they're saying, but not giving the exact details of what it means. And without that exact meaning, like for example, one of the characters will say the subtitles will be, "We are going to be friends forever," but the person actually said is, "We're going to be linked together," or something like that, where it's kind of the same. But if they use their exact wording, it would hit differently. But with that being said, I think it's like 9-10 episodes. I give the simple breakdown is people need money. They volunteer. Let me repeat that. They volunteer to participate in kid games to win money. And then, you know, things happen. So got a little bit of Saw mixed in with a little bit of, I don't know what you call it, but I expect there's going to be a lot of Squid Game costumes for Halloween and everything else like that. It's super popular.
You said they're playing kid games? Like, what do you mean by kid games?
Like Hunger Games.
Well, no, kid games like red light, green light.
Oh.
So okay, give a little bit of a quote unquote spoiler. The first game they play is red light, green light.
Okay.
But then, if if red light, green light, if they catch you moving, you're out the game, right?
Right.
Just like that on this one. But a simple fact, you're out the game because you're dead.
Oh, okay. That's all?
Right.
Okay.
But yeah, it's crazy. Like just thinking about this and certain stuff. It's crazy how certain things become super popular. If you like Squid Game, super popular. Everybody in all these countries are watching it. Think about the beginning of COVID when remember Tiger King was popular and everybody was talking about that.
Yep.
It's crazy how certain shows just take off and then everybody just watches them.
I saw the story he posted on Instagram saying y'all made him overnight millionaire.
Yep, they said the dude who wrote it or Squid Game, he quit writing because he couldn't get no offers, and now like they're telling him to write more now off of just off this, and now even they use some kind of candy in the show that's like native to Korea, and that the person who makes it in Korea, his business is like tripled because of it, because it's the show and this candy that everybody keeps wanting him to make this candy again.
That's good.
Her Vans went up in about 700% in sales and just their white Vans because of the show.
Yep, and a green tracksuit, you good to go. But also speaking of shows and ideas, I was thinking of have you guys seen Free Guy?
I have not yet.
Not yet.
Well, basically the concept is it's an NPC in an open world game where he's not he doesn't want to be an NPC anymore. He doesn't want to like just work at a bank. He wants to be quote unquote a real person, and stuff happens. But watching that got me thinking about a movie idea where it's regular civilians living in a superhero world and their lives. Like for example, Chad, you going to work or whatever to your place of business, and then as you come out, you worked your hard 9-hour day of work. You come outside to go home, and then the Hulk is through your car across the city, so now you ain't got no car now. Something like that, and it's just like of superheroes tearing up your shit, the regular civilian shit.
So there was a TV show like that on NBC.
What was it called?
Joe, do you remember the name of it? It had
I do remember what you're talking about. Oh snaps! It was essentially just what you said. It was based like in the DC universe, I believe.
Yes, it was. It was called Powerless, where they sold insurance for no, that was the original take. The original pilot was like they were an insurance company in the DC universe that covered like superhero liability. And what actually aired, they worked for Wayne Tech.
Oh, but
I remember giving up on that show.
Yeah, I mean it got canceled after one season.
All right, because they didn't have my ideas. I could have let them know what was good or not. But that was the parts that you watched. Was it good? The episodes you watched?
It was a show on NBC.
Yep. It was. It had moments where you were supposed to laugh. You knew you were supposed to laugh, but it wasn't really funny. And it was like really dry.
See, I want my show to be on Netflix so we can talk about anything and everything.
I mean, it don't matter if the writing's not there.
Yeah.
So this past week I rewatched a movie with a friend, and I can't say what movie it is because we're actually going to be reviewing it in a few weeks. So I'm watching it, and like I remember originally I didn't really care for this movie, but watching it the second time, I'm just like, I know this isn't a good movie, and it's fine. And so that got me to thinking, like, I tend to do that sometimes. Like, you guys remember that original Fantastic Four movie?
Yeah.
I saw that movie twice in the theater. And the first time I saw it, I'm like, this is fucking trash. And the second time I saw it, I'm like, well, I knew it was trash going in, so it was just fine. So have you guys ever had a situation where you saw a movie, you didn't like it, and then you saw it again, and you're like, it's whatever?
I'm sure I can't think of anything particular.
Well, I'm thinking if I watched it the first time and I thought it was garbage, I probably wouldn't have seen it again.
Right. I get that. Well, this is a situation where like I was gonna have to rewatch it again anyway pretty soon, just because, like I said, we're gonna be reviewing it on the show in the coming months.
But no, it's always different, or I guess weird, your expectations of a movie, or even like after you see it and then watching it again can always change, make it better for worse, or just your recollection of something being great or bad can always change later on, depending on when you watch it.
That's fair. I mean,
True.
Yeah. You
2010 I wouldn't have liked it.
I did say that earlier, yeah. All right, this is gonna be a short one, guys, or is it? Because we may have a lot of stuff to say about these movies this week.
I think that's where it's gonna come in at, bro.
Yeah. So this week we're discussing Power Rangers 1996 and 2017. What we're gonna do is like I'm gonna read the description for both of them that I wrote, and then we're just gonna have like I got a couple of questions I want to hit you guys with, and then it's just gonna be a free for all. Okay. All right. So in 96, or the original, Ivan Ooze has been found and released and wreaks havoc on Angel Grove so badly that he destroys the command center and nearly kills Zordon. He successfully cuts the Rangers off from the Morphin Grid, so they set out to get Ninja Ranger powers to defeat him. And in the reboot from 2017, Zordon is the Red Ranger and he defeats the turned evil Green Ranger Rita as she tries to take the Zeo crystal located on Earth. Centuries later, 5 teenagers find Zordon and become the new Power Rangers and slowly learn to work together as a team to defeat Rita as she returns to finish what she started. So, Joe, as this week's guest, I want to open up with these 2 questions. What is your relationship to Power Rangers? And what do you remember from the original movie? And if you saw the reboot before you had to watch it for the podcast, any thoughts on that?
Well, you know, as an 80s baby, you grew up watching fucking Power Rangers. Like, how did you not? Like, everybody watched Power Rangers. VR Troopers, everything was based off of it. Everybody wanted to be the Red Ranger, White Ranger, the Green Ranger, because those were the leaders, coolest Rangers you could possibly be. I had the toys. I had spent way too much. I had the gloves. You click together and they make all the sound effects and everything. Like my mom bought me all that crazy stuff. And so like, I loved the Power Rangers then. I definitely was excited when the reboot was announced, and I went and saw it at the movies. And I'm sure I've seen it a few times outside of watching it for this. But no, Power Rangers is like icon within itself. Even as I say that, I hate it now as an adult.
Because you are a parent. Exactly.
So my son, you know, he's watched every single thing of Power Rangers. I stopped at the Power Rangers in Space as a kid. I thought it went too far after that. So like it's like that reoccurring like Groundhog Day effect me. Like Power Rangers is something I've seen since it started. It's never stopped.
Right, and it will never stop.
It won't. Damn you, Brian.
Matt.
I echo everything he said. Same thing. Growing up watching as a kid, I always want, like you said, Red Ranger, then Green, then White. I thought Tommy was a beast, was the best thing ever. I seen the original when it came out in theaters. I seen the reboot when it came out in theaters. Yeah. So I was telling my when the reboot came out, I was telling my wife, I was like, oh yeah, we need to go see Power Rangers. What you know about Power Rangers? She was like, you know, they stole that from Japan. I said, what? I was like, nah, I've been watching it since the 90s. She was like, no, they stole that from Japan. So I did my research. Not only did they steal the idea from Japan, they stole their actual footage. So all
they
the original
they didn't steal anything.
Yes, they did.
So like, you know, the original Mighty Morphin Power Rangers, right?
Right.
All the scenes that you watch that does not include the actual teenagers, right. So them fighting in their costumes, the Megazords fighting in the things, right. All of that is Japanese footage.
Right. But what I'm saying is like the Japanese producers also produced the American version. That's why they are using that old footage. Like they're repurposing it. Like it's not a blatant like stealing it. They're
Well, no,
repurposing the footage.
not in that, but right. They made it for like, because in Japan it was called Zoo Rangers. Zoo Rangers. That's what it's called in Japan for like since like the 70s or whatever. It was Zoo Rangers. But yeah, so like I didn't know that growing up as a kid, but as you watch it, yeah, it's the same footage for the original ones that appeared in Japan.
Yes. We're using that old Sentai footage. Yeah, we're all saying the same thing. Like I remember I was at my aunt's house the morning the very first episode of Power Rangers premiered. And like I was just glued to that television. Like my mind was just blown watching that shit, you know? I remember going to the movies to see the original movie. I remember being so upset when my mom finally decided to take me to go see the second movie, Turbo, but we gone like 1 week too late and it was no longer in the theater. Like I saw the reboot opening weekend. I was just, yeah. And similar to Joe, I was done with Power Rangers and Power Rangers in Space. Like that shit had gone. Like I think we were like in middle school at that point, so it was like,
yeah,
it probably wasn't okay to still watch that shit.
It's crazy because like it even brought like Ninja Turtles in on it, and like who doesn't love the Ninja Turtles? And I could not watch that. I couldn't.
Yeah. So yeah, it's very clear the three of us had a very strong love for this franchise. So now with fresh 2020 eyes, I ask, what did you guys think of the original?
Now,
2021 eyes.
When we had this conversation, we first talked about this. I was like, what spawned this podcast is because you said the reboot was better than the original. I was like, nah, man, the original was better. Now, after having watched it, I don't like it. The original. Okay, so I was watching it and I was like, who are these new people?
I'm watching it. I'm like, oh, wait. I forgot that the second crew came in on this. I was expecting to see Jason and Trini and Zach, but I was like, oh, you're here, Rocky.
Right. That's why I was like, wait a minute, who the fuck is this? And then later on, like you said, I was like, oh yeah, that's right. Because money and stuff like that. After that, they was trying to give them that TLC contract where they weren't getting no money and stuff.
I mean, so they weren't getting money from the jump.
Right. So I was like, that's right. It's these people here.
Plus Tommy. You like the David Ruffin of the Power Rangers.
Right. But rewatching it again, it felt more like a longer, like it felt more like a extended episode, like a special episode than an actual movie. I would have I think it would have been better if they would have been able to just do their regular thing with, like, I know the frog shit, the what's the word I'm looking for? The ninja shit. Like I wish they would have been able to just, do a better, I can't think of my words. Like just a better movie of them just doing the regular Power Ranger shit. Okay. I didn't care for the ninja shit, especially when, like, they got their power and they went back to being their regular their regular selves, just with those things.
Yeah, I'm like, why do these suits look exactly the same? Right.
So the reason why was because it was at that time, this is how they started transitioning in between seasons. They thought this would be the way to go. We'll make a movie to show what they used to be and what they're about to be next. So if you remember the show afterwards, they would kind of go back and forth between the two costumes. So
I actually want to address that. Like I didn't do, and I should have like researched this harder, but going from my memory, I remember that they basically redid this storyline for the show. Like they created another reason in which they got these ninja powers, if I remember correctly.
You might be correct. I'm sure they probably did it in both, but like, because they also did the same thing with the next movie, which was when they went from Turbo or Zeo Turbo, and when they got the cars, they gave them a movie real quick just to throw them back in.
And then they did something. No, actually, I remember like the movie tied in. That movie tied in more so with the show as opposed to this one. And I can't remember if I read this somewhere or if it was like a YouTube video I saw that was like, you could just take this original Power Rangers movie as the Power Rangers in an alternate dimension, since everything was like slightly off, like costume wise, like the look of everything, like just take it as this is an alternate universe.
I can get that because their costumes were way better in the movie.
Yeah.
And also, I don't like how they did New Zack like that when they was explaining all the ninja stuff, and then he was like, "I'm a frog," and then she was like, "Oh, well, you kiss a frog and turn to prince." What the fuck that got to do with fighting? Why is he a frog?
Because he can leap over people's heads, right?
But she didn't say that though. She's like, you kiss a frog and turn him into a prince. I was like, oh, that's whack.
No, I think there was some hidden racism in there for real. The Black Ranger for the longest always was like the minority character.
So, what were your thoughts on the original, Joe?
Like, as far as the original, like the costumes was like you said, like the costumes definitely should have been in both, because like you said, also because the costumes in the movie in the beginning before they lost their powers were way sicker. And like as far as like when I rewatched it, it's like watching a Kids Bop movie almost. Like it's got like all the one-liners. It's got the punchy music playing in the background.
Yes. Hold on, not to cut you off, but like, yeah, I didn't realize how many fucking one-liners there was after every fucking movie.
Every punch is a one-liner.
Right. See you next fall. I was like, all right, man, we get it. Like every movie was like that.
And then somewhere in the middle, they threw two one-liners together and gave you a two-liner where they came in together on a one-liner.
It was bad. It was bad. Like, please continue, Joe.
But like, it's sad that like it was really held the whole movie together. He really did.
Yes.
Like,
okay. I'm sorry.
I'm a real character for at the time.
I'm sorry to cut you off now. I couldn't fucking stand Ivan Ooze. Like, I felt like the actor was doing his very best to be Robin Williams from Aladdin with all these fucking one-liners and references to other shit. I did not like that at all.
Well, when you get out of your hole that was not dug that deep, to be honest, Zordon, you was tripping. You dug it 6 feet and said, there you go. But like you barely buried him. Like you buried his Zord deeper than you buried him. And like he like, I got this. Like I'm gonna send these Rangers off real quick. I got time to study up on what I've missed real quick, so I can go off and tell them I missed the Brady Bunch reunion.
Yeah.
And, like I haven't had time to catch up on pop culture real quick, so he can go off on people the proper way. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I enjoyed Ivan.
Did y'all remember this subplot with that fucking kid?
Yeah, because he later on became the new Blue Ranger.
No, that was a different kid.
That was another kid. I remember he brought a kid. I thought that was the same kid.
That was a different kid. But like, I forgot about that shit. And then when we got his first scene, I was like, oh yeah, this kid's in this movie for, I wouldn't say no reason, but this kid's in this movie.
I think his dad should have been a little more concerned while his kid was cool with Tommy and his gang.
I mean, that was a little weird, you hanging out with these teenagers, but also like, we're all parents here. If I come home and I know my kid was here last and I see some fucking weird container on the counter, are y'all gonna open that shit up and scoop your hand up in the goop? Like, what the fuck is wrong with you, sir? Like, why would you do that?
Right.
That's some of your kids' dumb shit. Like, why are you messing with it? These kids like slime these days.
Maybe the dad thought he was gonna get high off of it.
Like my son came home Friday with some slime.
And were you scooping that shit out, sniffing on it and whatnot?
Nah. he always coming home with something.
Right. That's what these fucking kids do.
True.
Watching this with fresh eyes, 2021 eyes, I felt embarrassed that I liked this shit as a kid. Like, I'm watching it and I'm like, I'm embarrassed. So like my knee-jerk reaction of my embarrassment is for me to make fun of this, to try and make myself feel better. Cause I'm like, I like this shit. I drugged my mom to see this.
Spent real money on this, bro.
Right. I'm like, I fucking watched this shit on repeat when it came out on VHS. I did this to myself. What the fuck is wrong with me? This movie's not good.
Hey, if I wouldn't have watched this now, I would have went down dying that this movie was great. Because I was telling you, I was like, oh no, the original was the best stuff ever. But watching it now, no bueno. No bueno.
And like my son loves it. So like I see it all over again. Like he's like literally from Netflix gave him every season of Power Rangers. Seasons I never even heard of. Some of them
like Dino Fury Thunder.
Like there's Dino Thunder, there's Dino Fury. Like, why are there 2 sets of dinos now?
Yes.
And like he watched so I've seen it all, and I'm like, why is Jason still here? I mean, why is Tommy still here?
No, Jason came back too.
Yeah, I know, but y'all have nothing like even Tommy, like, and I will say the stuff that he does on YouTube is pretty cold, but it's like this is it. Like Jason Frank, he said this was it. Power Rangers until I die.
Yep. Hey, look at the Black Ranger. The Black Ranger was on the first season, and he's been riding that since now.
True. I've seen him a couple of times.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's weird seeing Tommy like so young and skinny because now he's like all buff and shit. So it's weird seeing him young.
He's all tatted up everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah. But Tommy's still that dude though. Like if you ever see like
he was never not that dude.
Well, I'm saying, but like even now, like you see those YouTube videos, like he would do like he'd be making those it'd be like the Green Ranger versus like Scorpion or something like that. Yeah. Those videos. He's still that dude.
All right. So all that being said, Matt, what were your thoughts on 2017 reboot?
All right. So a little caveat, my son watched the 2017 with me. So later on, I give you his aspects on it. So can I start with the most egregious part before I go through? Okay, so the most egregious part.
Wait, no. Be kind first.
All right, be kind. All right. If you are new to Power Rangers, it does provide you a good understanding of, hey, this is what they was going on. They just found 5 teenagers. They're not a team. They're 5 individuals. They have to work to become a team. So it does provide a background for how they come together and that. That's the positive.
That's all you got that's positive?
Okay, now let me go back. Okay, that's positive movie. I also enjoyed how they kept the original names from the original Power Rangers.
Okay. It didn't make sense when we got to Trini, but okay.
Right. I also didn't like how they made the black one keep making the black the minority. I thought when I originally watched it, I thought the CGI was a lot better than what it was.
Yeah.
And I guess the thing that like irked me the most as I watched it towards the end is when you was a kid watching Power Rangers and, you know, they're getting beat up by the putties and everything. And, you know, a big monster comes. You got the most hyped up is when they connected and made the Megazord, right? So they connected and made the Megazord. You're like, shit, about to get real. Why the fuck? I don't like how they waited to the very end to fucking do that, and it wasn't really a lot of shit. And they did the break for glass, need to the nut shit.
But that's the first movie.
Hold on. Oh no, wait. So okay, let's go back. Let's go back. I didn't like that shit either. The first one, break the glass shit.
I'm gonna say this for both movies. Just jumping in real quick. I don't like the look of the Zords on either movie. Like I prefer like what the models or whatever they were in the original shows that we watched on the TV show. Like I prefer like the models versus let's try and do like CGI or whatnot because it just doesn't look right.
And that goes off to with for me why Transformers never really works for me because it's always like you're trying to make it too clean to where it's too complicated or convoluted where you can't see stuff. And that same thing with the Megazords where I understand this is a new thing. You want to make the suits look cooler or whatever. You want to make that, but it just doesn't look right where, you know, with the TV show, here's a leg. You can see where they all connect at. I didn't like how they weren't together in the little
everybody was one part.
Yeah, I didn't like that. Yeah, so I mean, one thing I did enjoy was they might have spent too much time on this, them being individuals.
Yeah.
And, you know, creating their own personality and why they're like this and everything. They might have spent too much time on that to where I didn't come here to be there to see how these people, we came here for the Power Rangers. So maybe instead of like creating individuals, maybe they should have did it like the TV show where 90% of them were already friends and everything like that. They studied martial arts. Like they all knew that stuff from the get-go. So it wasn't like, oh, now we have to teach them how to fight. They already knew how to do this stuff from jump. So that could have, raised 20, 30 minutes of the movie to where there was more fighting and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
But as I get my thoughts together, somebody else can jump in onto what their thoughts were.
So like I agree. Like, so like the costumes before and now like were just way too shiny. Like it's like the Michael Bay effect. Everything's got to shine. We got we spit shining everybody's full costume, and like the models were definitely better as far as like seeing them come together. Like because as a kid, like you said, get you hyped. And like the only thing I would say would get you hyper as far as when they would become like the Megazords when they as Power Rangers would all put their weapons together, which I wish we would have got some of that.
Yeah, yes, where they had the little gun and everything. Yeah,
right. Everybody like I know in the new movie the Red Ranger had a little sword like on a little plasma sword on his hand or whatever, but like everybody had the individual weapons back then, and like that's what made them like kind of made you gravitate to who you gravitated towards. And like in this new one, it was just pick a color, like Bloods and Crips, pick a color.
Right.
Well, as far as the new 2017 version, the reboot or whatever, I hated the costumes. I hated the Zords. I have way more hates in it, but it's like they did so much right. They did a lot, but they also did so much wrong in the movie as well.
Yeah.
Like I agree. Like I wish they would already had some more backstory kind of established, and like I kind of call it like the Uncle Ben syndrome. Like we know what's gonna happen. This kind of can we skip past some of this and give me something new?
Right.
And it was like I said, like I'm like who wants to see another Spider-Man movie where we talk about Uncle Ben? Like that's done. Like I don't want to see how they all became Power Rangers again, and like just for me to that's just giving me more to critique of how you did it wrong. Like these weird stone coins is weird as hell. That's like the little glow tabs we had in like in elementary school. They used to put on like a little projector board. I hated the putties in the new one too. The putties were weird.
They were rock creatures, yeah.
Yeah, and I wish Reed like what I did like about it was that he did address Rita as the Green Ranger.
Yes.
Yeah.
I like that explanation more than I got this candle in my back pocket. So I like that. I wish we could have saw her in her costume as a Green Ranger. I wish we could have got that. That would have been probably like the coldest thing we could have got out of the movie. Is actually see Rita as a Green Ranger, opposed to her just being looking like Mr. T dipped in gold.
Speaking of Rita, I wish we would have had more Rita in the first one.
The original?
Yeah, the original. Instead of like, well, I'm like, because the main villain was Ivan, where I wish we would have more Rita, where it's just Rita. Like you remember back when Rita used to make the clay things, and then you had all the different villains, and then she used to do that. I like that. So I wish it was like something more bigger for a movie, but where it's still Rita's the main villain, and she has her people do whatever.
Yeah, I got you.
Well, the reason why it wasn't like that in the first movie was because, like I said, it was to intersect the show from the season to season. So at that point in the show, Rita was no longer even the big boss. Laura Zed had been the big boss for like a season or two. And
they were married at that point.
Yeah, I do wish that they would have did more with the two of them as a whole in the movie, other than getting thrown in a snow globe so early on. Because just like you making the Power Rangers into these new doper things, you could have made Rita and Zed into something doper as well, just from hooking up with Ivan. It was something that would have been more long lasting throughout the show or the series going onward.
Yeah, like play up the tension of like, yeah, Ivan's working with them, but is this motherfucker gonna betray them? Like really play with that aspect of it.
Do they build up something dope and then he's gone now, so they're left with whatever he was building up on? Like it's just like they could have did that with this one, other than Rita getting pimp smacked out of the orbit.
Speaking of getting pimp slapped, Tommy in detention when he just slapped that boy.
Hey, they snapped. He got hit with the snap. He wasn't even there. Like, are we actually gonna get a sequel? Because at this point,
We're not.
So, doing my research on this, the way they did it, they were hoping it was supposed to be like they made it so there'd be multiple movies afterwards. But since it bombed so badly that, or not bombed, but it didn't make the money
bombed.
that it was. Yeah, because like it was like 60 or 70 some million that they lost on this. That's the reason why that they didn't. But yeah, there was plans up to make another one.
That was the one y'all should have made. Y'all should have scrapped this one.
Well, I want to kind of talk about that on my part.
So we're giving our review of the one we watched, and we're about to give them a 10-year-old version of what's your thoughts about the movie.
I like the movie.
Okay.
At the end, I thought there was too much explosions and I couldn't really watch it. Like, I didn't really understand what was exactly going on.
Okay.
At the end.
Did you connect with the characters? Like, did you like the characters?
Yeah, I liked Zach.
So are you familiar that much with Power Rangers outside the movie?
No.
Okay, so you never really watched the show.
No.
Okay.
But after watching it, are you inclined to watch more Power Rangers now?
No.
You say no? Did he say no?
Yeah.
And that's why there's no sequel.
Right.
All right, you got anything else? You don't want to say anything else about the movie? What stuff you like?
No.
That's fair.
That's it.
That's fair. That's fair.
Come on, man. If I'm gonna put you on the podcast, man, you gotta provide more than just this stuff.
He already left the studio booth, man.
Right. All right, never mind. I thought he had more to talk about.
I mean,
He did not like it. You want to trade kids, man? My son watch all the Power Rangers with you. I swear to God, he will.
So I was watching this movie more from a perspective of somebody that doesn't like the same things in movies that I like. So I really liked that they spent a lot of time like building the characters up. I love that they were like, we're gonna make lore. Like Zordon was actually a Power Ranger. Like other Power Rangers was aliens. You know, Rita was with them and shit went real bad. You know, like I like that they build up that lore. I do kind of wish that we could have gotten like an animated movie about like some Zordon adventures and stuff as a Power Ranger.
You on the marketing team, bro.
I like this movie, but I don't think that the script should have been approved because, like you guys have said, like this movie was like 2 hours of setup and like 20 minutes of fighting. And nobody is coming to see that. Like I'm coming to see it because like I like a nice like character piece, but either you trim down on that character stuff or you pull a fucking Lord of the Rings or even a Richard Donner Superman and you film both movies at the same time. You film the first one and the sequel at the same time so that no matter how this first movie does, they have to release that sequel because the sequel is where you were going to get the action at if this is the first movie you're going to make. And you cannot like bank on people being like, oh, I remember Power Rangers. I'll go and watch 2 hours of them just talking and then think you're about to get a sequel full of action that people actually want to see. So like whoever like fucking greenlit this script should have been fired. Because like while I like this movie, you don't greenlight a movie like this with a property like Power Rangers.
Yeah.
And I also want to just bring this up. Can we talk about how Kimberly in this movie is a fucking horrible person? Can we talk about that for a second?
I don't remember that being in the first time I watched it. I don't remember that part.
I didn't remember it either.
Because when she was like, yeah, she sent the picture, she sent that out. I said, oh, yikes.
like you go to jail for shit like that. Like this movie came out in 2017. That's cyberbullying. What the fuck is wrong with you? You don't just get detention for that. You get expelled and you go to jail. And like they trying to play it up like she's such a victim. Your former friends should be mad at you. They should be bullying you. Don't fucking send nudes of your supposed friends. The fuck is wrong with you?
Right. But also, I guess in 2017, we were like,
we were on that cyberbullying. We were on that cyberbullying shit in 2017.
Right. I thought because like when she said she did that, I was like, wait a minute. Because like you said, they weren't bullying her because they were bullies. She did the wrong thing. She did something horrible, and they're treating her as such.
True.
Like, why? Who wrote that? Who was like, let's keep that in the script? Like, what? What the fuck
It sounded good at the time.
But yeah, I really like that everybody was a different color. Like Alpha said it, different colors, different kids, different color kids. I like that a lot. There was also rumors that if there was gonna be a sequel, Tommy would have been a girl. And
That would have been kind of cool.
And I'm thinking that the reason why they were pushing the Tommy Kimberly romance is because they didn't have the balls to do a lesbian relationship.
But they kind of did talk. They said Trini.
No. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying we all know that Tommy and Kimberly are a couple.
Right.
So if you have a sequel where Tommy is a girl, they've already established that there's something going on between Jason and Kimberly, so that they wouldn't have to like actually show a gay relationship. That's what I'm saying.
Well, in the show, that's how it started too. Remember, Kimberly flip-flopped.
Oh, Kimberly was with Jason in the show?
In the beginning, before there was a Tommy.
Okay, I'm not arguing with you because you saw this shit a lot more recent than me.
That was definitely like the interest they were pushing. Like, it was never official in the show, but they were definitely pushing like that narrative in the beginning. And then Tommy popped up, and it was like, oh, we gotta change it because Tommy is officially the new leader. You not see that shield?
Those shoulder pads, man.
Right.
That's what did it.
Right. The ladies love that. And he had Saba when he became the White Ranger. Like, shit.
Well, he dropped it from the motherfucking sky like damn Jesus when they first dropped the White Ranger.
Man, let's talk about that. They made Tommy, when he came out as a Green Ranger, even though he was bad, they made that motherfucker so cold. Like everything he did was like I remember when he became bad, he dropped in a Megazord, kicked Trini out of it after Megazord.
He kicked everybody out of it.
Yeah, just whooping their ass. It was like
and
he had villain, but like he. Yeah. And then like it's like he's a bad guy, but you making him so much better than everybody else. So people go eventually like him.
And not even just that, like you gave this motherfucker. I remember the commercials too. He had 5 parts to his initial series. They gave this motherfucker 5 episodes to be like, look how badass this motherfucker is. Like, yes.
True. So have either of you ever read the comics?
Oh man, I haven't read them, but I watched the YouTube videos like breaking them down and like,
yes,
man, like fucking lore. That's what I'm talking about.
I agree. So I 100% agree with you, Jack. Like after I haven't read the comics, but I've watched a few YouTube videos as far to kind of get the lore because I was just kind of curious when I was seeing this evil looking green
large dragon or something like that,
who is also Tommy.
Yeah. An alternate for the listeners that Joe's referring to a comic line called Shattered Dimensions, which is an alternate dimension of Power Rangers where Tommy never went good. Like he defeated the Power Rangers and he eventually like defeated Rita and Zed and everybody, and he just like took over.
And then started going to other universes, killing other Power Rangers.
Right. So like with the lore that I just referenced, so like one of the storylines in that comic was like there were other Power Rangers, but before like Zach and like Jason and them, like in the 70s, and like almost all of them died, and that shit was bad. But I watched some of the YouTube videos, and that shit's good. Yeah,
so I would have loved to even see if that even could have happened in the sequel. Go ahead and throw like you gotta think how Tommy gonna get the coin because Rita got pimp smacked into space, so in theory, in the sequel, Tommy would have been evil in the beginning,
right?
And he could have actually did that. That would have been kind of cool.
I mean, who knows exactly what that script would look like for the sequel? But like, I feel like missed opportunity. I don't know. Like, a lot of good properties, like a lot of good sequels, don't make it because like. You make so many missteps in the first part where it's not financially smart to like continue, and that's really important.
No, you're right. Like, if they would have did like you said, just film both of them at the same time, it would have happened, and it probably would have been smarter that way, just so you don't have your actors aging on you so fast.
Right, and it's like it would have cost like maybe like because I looked up the budget. This movie cost $100 million. Like if you would have just threw like maybe an extra 20 million on there. Maybe 30, and you could have had your part too. Like you reuse a lot of your sets. You already got your actors there, you know.
True.
But I'm not a producer in Hollywood. I'm sorry.
Just a guy with a regular job.
I mean, trust me, I believe the sequel would have like destroyed the original if people knew this thing's kicking off with Power Rangers from the very beginning.
Because that's like, cause after rewatching, even rewatching it for this, I'm sitting there watching the ending cutscene. I'm like, damn, I really would have loved to see a sequel of this, even though this one was so bad.
Was it bad, or just you didn't like it?
So I'm saying it bad as in like, because I'm watching it through a different lens because I'm critiquing it for critiquing purposes. And I watched it the first time. I was just going to enjoy a good movie and wasn't as disappointed as I thought I would be with other movies. So like when I saw it in theaters originally, I wasn't disappointed when I loved it. I'm not disappointed watching it now, but I'm disappointed knowing that it should have been a sequel that would have been way better than what you already gave me.
Yeah, I agree. So I'm like, I understand when you gotta make a new movie, you gotta change things to like fit whoever the director is. But sometimes it's better just to keep things are like, would it have been bad just to keep Goldar how he was? Would it have been bad if they would have just kept the Megazord how it's supposed to look? Why can you just take it how it was? Just make it a little bit 2017 fancier. You don't have to like completely change things just to do it.
Making the Megazord look like a man.
This is how it all could have worked. In the original movie, they should have kept the TV costumes. So in this movie, we could have got those costumes for this movie, and they would have looked like, oh shit, that's cold.
Right.
And that's not what happened. Because like you said, like even like the new Megazord looked horrible. Like we got somebody stationed in the shoulder and somebody stationed in the kneecap, and opposed to like all being in a central control center together like how they're supposed to be.
Right.
And somehow Jason still gets to control everything because he's the Red Ranger.
Right. Yep. I didn't get that. I was like, what are you supposed to do? Like when they pimp slap Rita, and it was, I believe, Trini's arm that did it, but they was all like, did you do that, Jason? No, he just sat there and enjoyed the ride. Trini did the swing.
Right.
No, when you're the Red Ranger, you control everything.
That's true. And also, I got one last question. Nobody know what CPR is in this movie?
No, we're still in high school. We haven't learned it yet.
Okay, because you're just gonna let.
Even though my dad's a sailor, I know nothing about
it. If you count how long he was in the water for, he legitimately could have just held his breath for how long he was in there for.
Right.
He wasn't in there for that long
at all.
It would be the black person too, wouldn't it?
Well, we know black people can't swim.
Right. So
that's what they say, right?
We about to step into this stereotype hard.
I mean, they wouldn't let us make the black person the Black Ranger, so we had to slap that stereotype in some way, right? So, what do you guys think the Rotten Tomatoes was on the original Power Rangers?
I don't know, because I know it sold. It depends on how they based the sales back then.
Well, no, because you gotta remember this is based off the critics, and so critics don't like kids movies.
That's true. Unless you Lion King.
Let's go 65.
Okay.
I'm gonna give it low 40s.
I need a whole number, Joe.
43.
37.
Damn.
And new Power Rangers, what are you guys thinking?
56.
42.
50. All right, let's do some trivia and then we're going to get out of here. All right, which now recognizable actress was cast and eventually fired from the original Power Rangers movie? She played the role of Dulcia, the lady in green that gave them their new powers. A, Sarah Jessica Parker from Sex and the City. B, Mariska Hargitay from Law and Order SUV. C, Carrie Russell from Felicity. Or D, Callista Flockhart, Ally McBeal.
Ally McBeal.
C.
So Mariska Hargitay was actually hired in that role but fired. It came down to like a chemistry thing, similar to like how they fired what's his face from Back to the Future and brought in Michael J. Fox. They just weren't feeling her scenes.
Okay.
So it says for trivia dump, An advertisement in a Sydney, this movie was filmed in Sydney, by the way. An advertisement in a Sydney newspaper telling fans to come and see the fireworks show with the Power Rangers was a ploy to get people to come down to filming the final scene so the producers would not have to pay for extras. At first, Walter Jones, Zach, Twee Trong, Trini, Austin St. John, Jason, were going to reprise their roles in the movie. But due to contracting negotiations falling through, they did not. And
But Tommy and Kimberly was able to get in there.
no, we're talking about original Power Rangers.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that's all we're gonna do for that one. I'm fucking tired. So trivia for this one is a fun little game I personally like to play. Which one of these actors actually has an accent because they're British or Australian? So in the new movie of the 5 Power Rangers, which one of them is British or Australian? Doing that old American accent.
Red Ranger.
I will go with.
You know they're sneaky, Matt.
Right. I would go with the Pink Ranger.
So funny you pick her. Naomi Scott, the Pink Ranger, is actually Canadian, but no. The answer is you had it right, Joe. Jason, he's Australian, and he's also on Stranger Things, but he does a hell of an American accent.
I had a feeling.
Let's see, trivia dump. The school used as Angel Grove High in this film is the same school used for Smallville High on Smallville. The watch that Billy wears is the same watch that Billy made on the TV show. And in preparation for the movie, the streaming service Twitch streamed all 831 episodes of the show from March 14 to March 30th of 2017. And I remember watching a few of those. The show was shit.
It was. It is.
All right, Joe, do you have anything to plug before we get out of here, man?
You can catch me on TV Blerds, the podcast. You can catch me on IG as Joey McFly, JO3YMCF1Y4. Yeah, that's weird.
And we'll put that in the show notes.
Appreciate it.
Yeah. Yeah, so thank you for coming on, Joe. Appreciate it, man. You and I need to talk more, like speak more.
Definitely.
Yeah, good to have you on. Thank you, good sir.
Appreciate you both.
I second that. Appreciate you. Thanks for being on the show.
One day I'll have you guys come stop by on the TV Blerds. We can talk some Blerds-ish.
You're gonna make me watch more stuff in a week?
Yes.
Boo. Thank you so much for listening. Please rate, like, and review our podcast on your platform of choice. If you have any feedback, please email us at weusedtotalkpod@gmail.com. Like our Facebook page, We Used to Talk About This at Work, and follow us on Twitter and Instagram at We Used to Talk Pod. So next week we will be back. Have we ever reviewed a comedy on the show, Matt?
Yeah. Meteor Man.
An actual comedy, like a straight up comedy.
Damn, we never done a comedy before. Yeah, I don't think we have.
Well, next week we'll be back reviewing Vacation Friends.
All right, you listen to this good show, take what we talked about, and talk about this at work with your friends.